Ladies and gentlemen, this concludes my opening performance. Now, without further ado, we may proceed to the trial of our god.
So this is what it is. Yes, you deserve praise for the effort you took to raise the dramatic stakes. Do not forget, however, that I am Focalor, the god of justice, the embodiment of justice itself. Does it not strike you as even the least bit absurd to bring the very concept of justice to trial?
May I interpret these words as your refusal to stand trial? In that case, you will have the opportunity to defend your honor through a duel.
You would draw your blade against a god? I see. It seems like you have made up your mind.
Paimon can't believe it. She just surrendered.
What the heck is going on? Did I just see an Archon surrender to a human?
Wow, how utterly humiliating.
Lady Farina, what is the meaning of this?
Shh! It would seem that there has been a misunderstanding. To be clear, the raising of both hands is not always an indication of surrender.
Looking for excuses again, huh?
I raised my hands just now to indicate my acceptance of the trial. No duel shall be necessary. I will admit that I've been running away for a long time. I'm sorry, everyone. I was unable to protect the people of Poisson. It is my duty to stand trial for my crimes. You are not the only ones to be disappointed in me. I, too, am exceedingly disappointed in myself. But now, it is time for the Hydro Archon to show you her courage and resolve. I, Farina, will use this trial to show the world the true meaning of justice! This time, I will protect you. Applaud and rejoice! One of the most outrageous and fantastical arcs known to the opera epiclese is now unfolding before your eyes. Mark my words, this shall be one of the most exhilarating and brilliant shows ever to grace the stage of Fontaine! The trial of the Hydro Archon, Focalor, will now begin!
Woohoo!
Oh, now we're making history!
Why does it feel like Farina just took over the whole thing? Like, come on! Didn't she just get forced to stand trial for her crimes? Also, even though she's still acting super dramatic, she is taking this seriously this time, right?
All right, then. Who will be my opponent in this trial?
The court asks the prosecutor to please take the stand.
Is that so? Very well. Then please speak, witness of Tivat, my accuser and fated opponent. Also, please allow me to ask, as a final question before the trial begins. Just how much work did you do to force me onto this stage?
Well, we did do a lot of prep after the meeting that day.
I can go over the tasks assigned to the Spina di Rosula, since they were rather straightforward and easy.
Navia, the president of the Spina di Rosula.
Most of the people who participated in the disturbance this morning were my subordinates. They changed into plain clothes and came to the Opera House as regular audience members, waiting for the perfect opportunity to incite insurrection against you. The people's resentment against their Archon has been building as more and more of the prophecy is fulfilled. A spark was all we needed to turn smoldering anger into a flame. Moreover, according to our understanding and analysis of you, when something like that occurred, you would likely flee the scene and head to Poisson by yourself. So, we arranged for a second group to lie in wait there.
So, you mean the ones who scoured the settlement for me were—
And their goal was to force you to step into the giant magic box so you may personally participate in the greatest magic performance in all of Fontanian history.
That's right. That house was a magic box, rather than someone's residence.
As the super ultimate version of the setup that I used when I first performed at the Opera Epiclese, the volume of the box was increased by a whole order of magnitude, and the distance it traversed was the entire gap between Poisson and Araneas. Its cargo was an Archon instead of a human. My thanks, Farina. Without your help, we could never have pulled off such an—
You're welcome?
Of course, this performance was only made possible with Father's support. The House of the Hearth spent a massive amount of labor in Mora to pull this off. We had to select a location, construct the giant magic box, dig a tunnel, and open up a path through the water. It was a lot of work for all of us.
So, in other words, the earthquake that we felt within the giant magic box was just a normal tremor from the transportation of the whole house?
That's right. It wasn't a sign of another disaster to come.
Then, I can guess Nervilette and Cloran's part. You gathered a crowd, prepared a stage, and made sure also that as soon as I appeared on the stage—
Yes, that is correct.
Well, Clorand, I must commend you for your courage. Only the most outstanding champion duelist in all of Fontaine would—
Thank you.
As for you, traveler, I suppose your role was to keep me distracted with conversation once you found me in Poisson. You'd make sure that I didn't notice anything amiss before revealing yourself as my prosecutor once we'd arrived— Oh? It's fine. It matters not. The stage is already set, so there's no reason to disappoint the audience. Let's see this trial through.
Sir Prosecutor, please allow me to pass this along. This is a document that Miss Charlotte applied for and received permission to share with you during the trial.
Huh? Charlotte wanted to give us something? Oh, so she's here too! Hey, Charlotte! Oh, let Paimon see. Isn't this the exclusive— Wait, then that means this document is a perfect timeline of everything that's happened. So in other words, we can refer to this anthology. Let's quickly confirm the information in it. Just think of it as a refresher, alright?
You defeated the Hydro Archon in the very first duel you took part in at the Opera House. That's one for the history books, all right. I didn't think that you'd wind up getting to the bottom of the case I'd been following all this time. I guess you could also see this as a happy coincidence. This is the first time a Fatui Harbinger. The Fortress of Mirab. According to Monsieur Nervilette, both Child and that whale should have been in the Primordial Sea at that time. I nearly lost my awesome friend Navi. The words of someone as extraordinary as a witch can probably only be truly understood when something surreal happens to you.
The prosecution and the defense are both in position. The trial shall now begin.
Oh, come on, Nervylette. There's no need to... Just fast forward to the part where the prosecution lays out my offenses. Of course, it is only natural for humans to struggle to understand...
That's true. But my charge here is unrelated to your conduct as an Archon. Instead, I would like to charge you as a fraud who's never been the Archon in the first place.
Wait, what was that? Lady Farina's a fraud?
Hey, I came here thinking that we were going to try the Hydro Archon for forsaking her duty, but did I hear that right? She's not our Archon at all?
Charge accepted. Lady Farina, do you plead guilty to the charge? Lady Farina.
I plead not guilty. How can I be guilty? There is no way that I, Focalor, otherwise known as Farina de Fontaine, a member of the Seven and the Regina of all waters, kindreds, peoples, and laws of Fontaine, could be anything other than your...
Yeah, even though Lady Farina can be rather eccentric, isn't it going too far to doubt her...
Yeah, I've never questioned her identity either. Sure, Lady Farina can be super...
I have cause to believe that common sense will prevail in this case. Many of the members of the audience have known me as the Hydro Archon ever since they were born. See? Even the Oratrice has decided to show me its favor. If you wish to drop the case, I can promise you as the God of Justice that you will...
An argument with near impossible odds, huh? We have to not only refute Farina's claims...
Well, I tried to give you the chance to surrender. And if I was not the Archon, then how did I manage to live?
First of all, you may be a member of another long-lived race, which would allow you to naturally possess an extended lifespan. And second of all, even if that wasn't...
Who gave you that idea? Was it the knave?
A curse? I once thought it possible that the aura of an Archon might naturally resemble it, but in light of this claim, perhaps what I sensed was not your divinity, but a curse after all.
You sensed it too, huh, Nervylette?
Lady Farina is actually a human?
Well, it is true that it's extremely difficult to tell humans and gods apart just by looking at them.
Well, don't start celebrating too early now. Even if I have been... Besides, everyone knows that the main difference between a human and a god... For centuries, manifestations of my one need only to turn their eyes towards the Oratrice Mécanique d'Analyse Cardinal in this very opera house. Or...
You tried to reference the Oratrice, but weren't you as confused as all the rest of us when the Oratrice declared Child to be guilty without any proof? Otherwise, you should have come up with a good explanation for that by now.
Didn't I make myself clear at the time? The decisions of the gods are not...
Lady Farina, I believe a reminder of your current circumstances is in while the court is in session. The principles of justice and the law must come before all else. While you will prove yourself unable to defend against the prosecution's charges if you continue to withhold vital information against the rules of the court.
I never thought you'd use that kind of...
That was no trick of rhetoric, Lady Farina. I've merely reiterated the rules of the court. Rules that all should respect and...
So, you neither knew why Child was declared guilty, nor did you understand the structure and operations of the Oratrice. Instead of having been created by you, the manifestations of authority you mentioned have been made by the real Hydro Archon, haven't they?
The real Hydro Archon? Well, now you're really losing. It is true that I did not know why the Oratrice gave out, but the Oratrice handed out that verdict unilaterally. And it has been operating in... You can't argue that just because a divine creation is flawed, that the god behind it must also be no god at all.
She's still throwing out all kinds of excuses. Seems like she's confident that we won't be able to produce proof that she has no power over the Oratrice.
My power as an Archon. There are many ordinary citizens in the audience.
If that poses a concern, I'm prepared to extend my protection to the audience.
You don't need to go that far.
Aren't you the Hydro Archon? Or is it that you can't even wield the power of Hydro, much less the authority of a god?
Indemnitium! Yes! It's all because of Indemnitium! All Archons derive their power from the faith of the people, and thus did I give up all of my divine power to provide...
Isn't that...
Yeah, no matter how generous an Archon can be, how could they give up all their power? Can a god with no power even...
It seems like nobody's buying Farina's excuse.
Hey, come now, everyone! Please don't stare at me as I'm still the same Farina you knew, right? The one that you loved. Please, you've got to...
If what the prosecutor said is true, she really has committed a grave offense.
Did she deceive all of us? And all of our parents and grandparents too? And then all of our ancestors? Ever since they were born?
Enough! That's enough. Tell me then, if I'm not the real Hydro Archon, then who is? If you have no evidence of another Hydro Archon's existence, nor can you find anyone who can back up their claim to be such, then what grounds have you to say that I'm not actually the real deal?
Wow, she came up with yet another argument. How can we refute her now? Seems like she really doesn't want to... That doesn't sound right. Paimon doesn't think this clue can... It has been established that all Fontanians can dissolve in water from the primordial sea. And that means...
Since you insist on claiming to be a god and not a human, then there's a method that you can use right here and now to eliminate all suspicions of you being the latter.
Miss Navia, please apply to serve as a temporary attorney for the prosecution before addressing the court. Though you act in partnership with the prosecutor, you must still adhere to proper procedure.
Super sorry, Monsieur Chief Justice. I swear this really now. I've brought some seawater from Poisson. As everyone knows, a massive flood struck the area not long ago, taking many lives, including those of some of my closest. So, Miss Farina, would you dare to touch some of the seawater? If we are to believe that you are indeed the real Hydro Archon, touching the seawater would have no... But if you don't dare to touch it, then we would have basically proved the reverse. Oh, and I must remind you that after the disaster at Poisson, nobody wants to see any more people. I do hope you'll act prudently and choose the simpler path of admitting guilt.
Navia from the Spina di Rasula. The Spina has governed Poisson for many years. I guess her suggestion is valid.
If Lady Farina is indeed just a human, she's probably Fontanian like all the rest of us. Would she really dare to try?
Lady Farina, this test has been unilaterally proposed by the prosecution, as it falls outside the realm of standard court proceedings.
Well, of course he had to tell her that. But refusing to participate is basic.
She's just staring at the water without saying a single word.
What's going on? Is she really planning to... that's...
Due to the inherent risk of the test, Lady Farina, you may...
Hey! I'm fine! Look at me, everyone! Will you believe me now? I really am your Archon! I'm nothing like—
Miss Siegewin? If you're present, Miss Siegewin, please come forward and attend to the defendant.
Siegewin? Don't be nervous. It'll just take a few seconds. That should be enough.
Please announce the results of your evaluation to the court, Miss Siegewin.
As everyone doubtlessly saw, Miss Farina was displaying symptoms of hyperventilation and flushed skin. She was experiencing the adverse effects of exposure to primordial seawater. The extent to which she was affected is the same as other humans when exposed to primordial seawater of a similar concentration.
Thank you, Miss Siegewin. Lady Farina, you may return to the defendant's stand.
Oh, wait. What did she just say? I didn't get dissolved. Shouldn't that be enough to prove—
Well, considering your tendency to run from your problems, we did originally prepare a direct sample of the seawater around. However, after extensive discussion, we exchanged it for a sample that is not concentrated enough. We don't want anyone else to lose their life to the sea.
Yeah, so out of regard for Farina's life, you secured a low-concentration sample and asked the head nurse to serve as an expert witness. It's a great thing that the direct sample wasn't actually used. Farina could have...
I can't believe... You... Listen to me, everyone! Please don't give me such cold... Think about it! How can you conclusively prove... Also, if I was really just a human, why... Please, everyone, anyone, just listen to me! I swear, I really am your Arch...
I don't think anything she says at this point will sway anyone. The odds are just too stacked against her now.
With all the things that have been said, Paimon doesn't think there's any way left.
I believe the time for arguments and presentation of evidence has come to an end. If there are no objections, we will move on to the final judgment.
I don't think anything she says at this point will sway anyone. She's too stacked against her now.
In my capacity as Chief Justice, I shall now render judgment on Farina's misrepresentation of herself as the Archon of Fontaine. As a human who knowingly deceived her fellow citizens, Farina is... guilty. We shall now turn to the Oratrice Mécanique d'Analyse Cardinale to render the final verdict on the charges. According to the judgment of the Oratrice Mécanique d'Analyse Cardinale, Farina is...
Well, what's wrong? What's the Oratrice's verdict?
No, the Oratrice also displays a guilty verdict.
Isn't that correct then?
However, the exact wording of the verdict is thus: the to be punished via the death sentence.
The death sentence?
That's actually one of the available sentences? I've always thought that it was just a myth.
The one and only time the death sentence has been handed out at the court, and it's been given to the very person we've worshipped as the god of justice? What an unexpected twist.
Farina's been sentenced to death by the Oratrice? We just wanted to use the trial to show her the seriousness of things so she'd tell us the truth. How did things escalate this quickly?
This outcome is indeed quite strange. According to Fontaine's current definitions of justice, as well as its recommendations for criminals, is this sentence really appropriate for the crimes that have been committed?
Yeah! Even Fauché wasn't sentenced to death by the Oratrice. You know, the real evil mastermind behind the serial disappearance.
Indeed. Not only is Farina's sentence overly excessive, the very point of our trial today was also to prove, but now, the Oratrice seems to have deliberately invoked the title of the Hydro Archon.
Excuse me, if I may interrupt. Is the trial still going?
Fremine! You finally made it. I assume this means you've completed your mission?
Mm-hmm. Any mission Father assigns to me.
Is that the first prophecy slate? Huh. So the knave privately arranged for Fremine to try and find the missing slate.
I looked everywhere and finally found it at the bottom of the sea. It took me a long time to get around some dangerous stretches of water. But has the trial already concluded? Then...
Thank you for your hard work, Mr. Fremine. Please allow me to review the record left on the slate. Traveler, I believe that you have already seen the other existing slates, and would like you to come here and confirm their...
Huh? So what do you see? What is it?
I believe I have now made sense of the Hydro Archon's crime. It has to do with Fontaine's lost history.
Huh? Isn't the Hydro Archon just guilty of deceiving her people? Oh, wait, no, that's Farina, and we've already proven that she's not the Hydro Archon. So when you say Hydro Archon, do you mean the real Hydro Archon we've been kinda talking about?
In truth, everything that you've encountered in Fontaine up until this point can be traced back to the contents of these stone slates. However, I'm uncertain as to how much sense they currently make to you.
Okay, let's try to recall the contents of the other 3 stone slates. The first stone slate describes what you just said. It seems to show the previous Hydro Archon using her divine power, and then the Oceanids turn into humans. Does that mean that Fontanians are transformed Oceanids? Oh, Paimon wasn't expecting that. But if Oceanids can turn into humans, then perhaps this process could... The second stone slate shows Celestia floating in the sky, and the Hydro Archon and her people worshipping it together. But the heavens still brought judgment down upon them. This must be the point when the Hydro Archon and the Fontanians were branded with their original sin. Does this mean that the original sin and the Hydro Archon sin are the same thing? The third slate shows the Hydro Archon seeking into the sea surrounded by many people. That reminds Paimon, didn't we also watch that happen to someone else? Well, the fourth slate is the prophecy the Fontanians have been talking about. People dissolving into the sea, the Hydro Archon crying on her throne, and so on. We didn't believe that such a crazy disaster could happen at first, did we? But after that incident, it was just a question of when and not if. That doesn't sound quite... That doesn't... That doesn't... That doesn't...
The prophecy from the stone slates found its way into society, but not many people believed it at first. The fortress of Meropide was nearly flooded with primordial seawater, which we know can cause Fontanians to dissolve. It seems if we hadn't dealt with it in time, That doesn't... It's not as simple as when the... Perhaps what is about to take place, the truth and the original...
That doesn't sound quite...
We know from the cave and the...
They'll dissolve into the primordial sea but won't cease to exist. Their essence will flow in the seawater. The Hydro Archon was sentenced to death in court, shocking everyone present. Perhaps this means that her sin was actually... Navia fell into the water inside those ruins, and she nearly dissolved. She was surrounded by the people of Poisson in a court within her consciousness, and was forced to take part in a trial meant to make her stay. The eruption of the primordial sea at the fortress of Meropide was the surest sign that the prophecy was about to come to pass no matter what. The prophecy's contents can all be verified by recent events. If we combine what we know together, loads of truth... it now, but then it feels like we're going to have to share some...
Let's hear them.
Incredible! Linny, did you hear that?
We're not real human.
All Fontanians were originally created by the late previous Hydro Archon, with Oceanids as their basis. The evidence for that can be found in how only Fontanians could dissolve in primordial seawater, and how all the girls Vacher dissolved were also turned into Oceanids. Oh, and according to Navia, when she was about to get dissolved, she also saw everyone gathered around for a trial, all of them in the shape of Oceanids.
Indeed.
Yeah, and it follows from the content of the first slate that she probably angered Celestia by creating humans without pride. That could also explain why the Oratrice judged the Hydro Archon to be guilty. It's to account for that ancient sin.
The Hydro Archon's true sin was creating us?
And yet, after many hundreds of years, the Hydro Archon's creations have turned around to try to judge the Archon within the Opera Epiclese.
Yeah, isn't the image here just like when Navia fell into the sea? So wouldn't it be trying to show the image of the Hydro Archon? In the end, the people will all be dissolved into the waters, and only the Hydro Archon will remain weeping on her throne. Only then will the sins of the people of Fontaine be washed away. Did Paimon get all that right?
You've made some keen deductions. I must say, given how much you still don't know, it is impressive that you've already managed to connect so many pieces. However, while you were able to decode all the information on the slates, they've also been etched with an additional layer of hidden information using... When we were at the ruins, I tried to decipher the hidden information recorded in the slates. But since we only had 3 slates at the time, I was unable to come to a full conclusion. Now that the slate collection is complete, I shall make another attempt to decipher the narrative recorded within. If everything goes well...
Well?
I believe I should share this truth not only with you, but with all the people of Fontaine as well. I will try to briefly summarize. Your hypotheses regarding the origin of Fontainians and the sin of the Hydro Archon were both correct. In the Fontaine of old, the previous Hydro Archon sensed the yearning of her Oceanid familiars for life on land. The Oceanids were enamored with the beauty and romanticism of human beings, and wishing to have those experiences for themselves, expressed to the Hydro Archon their desire to become of a similar kind. However, even though water as an element is intricately linked with the power of life, the Hydro Archon, as one of the 7, did not possess the authority to create a new form of human life. Not one to give in, she eventually found a way to create permanent humanoid bodies for her familiars by appropriating the power of this planet's primordial sea. She poured primordial seawater into the Oceanid's blood vessels, creating humanoid mimics in the process. But if Fontainians were to ever come into direct contact with water from the primordial sea, the power within their bodies would escape these artificial restraints and return. Of course, the Hydro Archon never received permission from the heavenly principles to create a new human race. And thus, the Hydro Archon and all of her creations came to shoulder the original sin of appropriating the power of the primordial sea. That is the true history of how the people of Fontaine first...
So we were all Oceanids before we turned into human beings?
That's way too much information for me. I think I'm just going to pretend that I never heard a single thing. Wait, but if that's the truth, we can't let the Hydro Archon be sentenced to death. After all, her only sin was creating us.
This really might be too much information for your regular Fontainian, but it does answer a lot of our questions.
Alas, your hypothesis regarding the 3rd and 4th stone slates was an A key point of the visual on the 3rd slate is how all the individuals depicted in the water are humans rather than Oceanids. They have not been dissolved, which implies that the water depicted in this slate is not water from the primordial sea. The nation of Fontaine is the nation of Hydro, as well as the nation of trials and justice. Instead of being the literal element, the water in the scene symbolizes judgment and justice. You may also recall Navia's experience. When she fell into the sea, her consciousness was surrounded by that of many others who intended to hold a trial to determine her fate. Therefore, the meaning of the 3rd slate is that the people of Fontaine shall try the Hydro Archon at the court of justice. Yes, it refers to our present situation.
I think I'm following now. So, what you're saying is, Even though we decided to put on this trial to avoid fulfilling the prophecy, in truth, everything we've done has happened exactly as the prophecy foretold. So now, it seems, we're the ones making sure it comes true.
What should we do?
Huh. No matter what, the prophecy will be fulfilled. Is this what it feels like to be a prisoner of fate?
If that's the case, does that mean the scene in the fourth slate will also be fulfilled soon?
Traveler, I would like to point out another small fallacy in your deductions. About the fourth slate, you probably thought that the eruption of primordial seawater beneath the fortress of Meripede served as the surest sign that the prophecy was about to come to pass, yes? However, I believe that rather than being a sure sign, that eruption could in fact only be a small warning of something far worse. As for the root cause of the catastrophe, I believe you've already encountered it once before. This eruption was just a small warning of the things to come. We must find the root cause of the disaster.
That doesn't sound...
It was both dream.
If we're talking about a true culprit, that could only be that thing inside the primordial sea, right?
The truth, the original sin.
That was way too close! How did that thing just burst into the opera house? Wait, was that the huge whale you saw in...
So we've met it at last. I understand very well why it has chosen to make an appearance here. That whale does not belong to Tevat. It is a monster that has traversed the stars, weeping all the while. It has been greedily consuming the energy from the planet's primordial sea, using it to grow. That is the main cause for the rise, and once it has finished consuming all of the energy contained within the sea...
You said that when the Hydro Archon first created Fontanians out of Oceanids, she filled their blood vessels with primordial seawater.
Precisely. That whale finds the blood of Fontanians nigh impossible to resist. Therefore, when it left the primordial sea, it decided to make its next stop a packed opera house full of food. Food in the form of Fontanians.
We just barely managed to push it back, right? In that case, won't it come back to target the people again once it's managed to recover its strength?
That is correct. Indeed, it is more accurate to say that we should thank that harbinger for buying us some time. Without him, the whale would have likely come onto land far sooner. From the way he looked, he must have been fighting the creature for quite a long time.
That battle maniac. We've always known that he had a special connection with that whale, but we definitely didn't expect it to help us out like this. Anyway, now that we know that this whale is the actual cause of the disaster recorded in the prophecy, all we need to do to stop the prophecy would be to find a way to beat it up, right?
It is too late. It had already absorbed too much of the primordial sea's energy before we could notice it. At this point, even if the entirety of Teyvat were to be destroyed, it could still survive and
That's not... We've already done everything we can, and we even found the true culprit. We've come so far. You can't just tell me that the...
Indeed, that's not how a grand performance should...
I'll fight it to the end, no matter what.
So the prophecy will be fulfilled no matter what, huh?
The prophecy. Yes, what has been prophesied will be fulfilled. Just as prophecies are usually only the future as seen from the perspectives of the gods, ultimately, fate shall serve as your only guide, no matter what will happen in Teyvat's future.
What's happening with the aura trees?
I believe it is preparing to carry out the death sentence.
Furina! No, I still need answers.
You...
Sorry. That shocked expression on your face is just too amusing. I couldn't help myself.
You are not Furina. Who are you?
The sweet sound of bewilderment. Marvelous. A sure sign that my attempt to deceive everyone was a resounding success. But to answer your question,
Focalo. Why did you deceive us?
Oh, that wasn't my goal, of course. Goodness, no. But I had to fool everyone else, too. The heavenly principles.
Deceiving the heavenly principle?
It's all because of that pernicious prophecy. Dreadful, wasn't it? Everyone doomed to dissolve. One was not amused. In fact, one was positively bemused when that problem was thrust upon me by my dearest predecessor. She knew full well that the prophecy would surely come to pass. And as one of the seven, she also knew full well that one defies the heavenly principles at one's peril. So yes, as you have no doubt surmised, it was a rather impossible situation that I found myself in. I spent a terribly long time mulling it over, alone on the ocean floor. And I was almost growing barnacles by the time I finally realized I had to outwit the heavenly principles, allow the prophecy to be fulfilled. I'm a genius, I know. I can only assume that's why Egeria chose me as her successor. Although, looking back now, it was hardly the inheritance one dreams of. Between the task of saving the nation, the quotation... But one can only play the hand one is dealt. I did not choose this, any more than I chose to be one of her Oceanid familiars.
So you were also once one of the Oceanids, transformed into a human by Egeria's hand?
Yes, I was. I always dreamed of becoming human. And I still do, even now. After becoming a god, I separated my divinity from my body and spirit, leaving behind only a self that was as naive and bewildered as my past self on her first day as a human being. The me you see before you now is that divinity. And the human counterpart I left behind, I named Farina. She could feel joy, sorrow, and everything in between. She could be as vain and conceited, or her strengths were of a kind only a human could possess. But in my eyes, Farina's humanity was what made her perfect. She was perfectly human in every way. Anyway, so then I cursed her. All part of the plan, of course. The plan to deceive the heavenly principles. Do you still remember the final scene of the prophecy? The Hydra Arc, in order that the prophecy might appear fulfilled, I invited Farina to be an actress, to play the part of the Hydro Archon in the prophecy. Under the curse I placed on her, so long as I, Focalor's divinity, continued to exist, she could not die. But nor was she free to live her life in the pursuit of happiness. Instead, she was forced to take the stage in the opera house, to embrace the role of leading lady, to forever play the part of the god from the prophecy. I suppose now you probably understand why your court is called the Opera Epiclese.
But Farina is only human, isn't she? Even though she has had a long life, her mind is no stronger than that of any other ordinary human being. I cannot begin to fathom what she has had to endure.
It has indeed. And although she is, in a sense, me in human form, I most definitely owe her an apology for it. It's been 500 years, and all along, she's been playing her part in the most unimaginably long, unbearably lonely, and agonizingly painful opera of all time.
Oh, who permitted you to come onto the stage? Now, I understand your admiration. All right. It is not my intent to reprimand you. There is no need to state your name. Just be off with you. Oh, do not jest. Can you not feel it? I am Focalor, the eyes of countless Fontanians. Dear audience, the performance is experiencing a technical difficulty, but worry not. The guards shall resolve it soon enough.
I will have order. Gather!
Hey, what gives? The audience is still watching me, you know. Guards? Wait, where are the guards? Guards!
Farina.
Huh? Who's that? Who's calling me? Where are you?
Be not nervous. Be not afraid. I am before you.
Wait a moment. You're near me? How can this be?
Mirror you, huh? You know what?
Mirror me. What do you wish?
The prophecy.
What prophecy? Wait. I know. The people will all be dissolved into the waters, and only the Hydro Archon will remain.
Oh.
What's going on? I can't seem to remember.
Yes, it will. And that is why I've come to you. Disaster will come to Fontaine sooner or later.
But doesn't that mean everyone will die? I'm a Fontanian just like them. Will I dissolve too?
Oh, don't worry. Magical meetings exist in this. I will tell you how to save everyone, but you may have to suffer somewhat.
Oh, so there's still hope after all. As for the suffering, well, I will admit that the first thing that came to mind was, but if the prophecy will come true, I'll also die anyway, right? If there were scales, with all the people of Fontaine on one side.
You truly are. I suppose this would also be the justice that belongs to you.
Huh?
Don't worry, it's nothing. Listen well. Fontaine has just lost its Hydro Archon. That's right. You must begin a never-ending masquerade. If you can keep it up, then I shall have...
But how will I do this? A human...
Don't worry. What you must do, being a human yourself, I'm sure you already remember. Your true challenge will not be pursuing
I'm still not sure I understand, but... So, how long am I going to...
To accomplish this mission, you will have to stay on the stage for many, but I promise you, all will event...
A trial, huh? The Maison Cardinalise has announced my accession. What should I say to most appear like a god? I'm sure you've all heard about how I have taken... In truth, as the god Focalor, once again, this... I thought I might...
That's the new Hydro Archon. Is this some kind of joke by the Maison? I would have thought that a being that surpasses humanity would be a...
Hey, did you hear that? She even told us to send her suggestions there at the...
Shouldn't gods be all-powerful? She's being so modest. What's the difference between her and an ordinary person, then?
If you ask me, perhaps the succession didn't actually happen. She might just be a Maison-backed puppet.
Wait, what's going on? Why is everyone suspecting me of being a fake? Oh, this is bad. Right. Mirmi said that I just need to play the role of... Calm down, Farina. Think. What do the people want? Assertive, with a strong sense of presence. Oh, very good, my people. Only one. Now, I was wondering if some weak puppet were to one day come onto the stage and claim own... Well, it seems that you would all see right through them. Having passed my test, you may consider my previous act a door gift of sorts. I thought it was a debut that suited the atmosphere. Now then, let us be reintroduced.
So that was just a performance. How could I have forgotten that we were inside an opera house?
Her personality? It's quite shocking, to be honest, but I suppose it's a better look than before.
Such a fascinating and bold deity. How wonderful! Our future may yet be bright after all.
It seems I've turned them around. Best follow this My dear people, whether you acknowledge me or not, whether you trust me or nay, I say to you, keep faith. We have heard it said that this nation's sins can No, this won't work. They'll suspect me again. I must play the role that they want me to play. The scales of May law be the prayer on our lips. May judgment be our worship. Let us light the fires and drink. There is no trouble so long as I...
Lady Farina, here are today's case reports, as well as a summary of the follow-up for your perusal.
Come now, was I not just at the opera house in person? Leave these kinds of things to Neuvillette. Besides, None of these trials were the one that I'm looking forward to the most.
If I may be so impertinent, what kind of trial are you truly looking forward to?
A magnificent, dramatic, and wondrous trial. A trial to end all things.
That's true, I fear I lack the ability to grasp your divine thought.
No need for fright, and do not take what I said before too seriously. Go now, do you?
Lady Farina, I don't know what to say. Thank you for agreeing to see me.
No need to thank me. Or rather, thank your own sense of perseverance instead. Long have you Oh, I'm afraid that's just an inevitable... All right. Deoteria, is it? How is...
You remembered me, and you knew... He is doing much better now. In fact, he is far more of an ardent believer than I. You're such a gentle and wise god. Thank you once again.
Lady Farina, here are the latest hydrological reports. As for the specific parameters you asked to take note of, I'm afraid things still don't look...
I see. It's as I thought, then. As your god, all manner of signs indicate that the prophecy will...
well...
Really? Have they found anything?
I'm afraid that they haven't found any effective solution.
Is that so? Well... The day is finally over. But it's good to see that everything's getting on track. There are no longer any... Maybe this is fine. I just... All right.
Lady Farina, here are the new trial reports for the latest cases, as well as a summary of the follow-up.
There'll be no need for that. I've seen them already. There's no need to go...
Lady Farina, I've waited so...
Indeed, my dear, loyal citizen. This joyous moment is an honor for...
Lady Farina, we're detecting significant hydrological anomalies near Poisson.
Understood. Keep monitoring. Keep me informed should anything... I feel...
Lady Farina, it's like a dream. I've heard that the first member...
What is it, good citizen?
Oh, are you crying?
Really now? This must be the overflow of hydro from my person. Well, can't quite help being the god who's...
No wonder. No wonder. A manifestation of your...
So Hundreds of years must have passed by now. Perhaps I never imagined. Have I reached my limit? I want to tell someone, anyone, about this. But would that not destroy? I've conducted so many investigations. All I can do is keep heart. I must maintain this act.
Farina, you don't have to shoulder this burden alone, although I don't know what you might be keeping from everyone.
Share my burden. That's impossible. It was fated.
But even if your burden doesn't need to be shared, just share it with me.
A witness. Yes, I've heard that you came to Tevat from beyond the star. And if Tevat is in... if... He's right. I could confide in him, couldn't? But if things don't play out as expected, the people... No, Farina. You shouldn't be... But what if... What, Farina? You've worked so hard. Is it such an if you let this opportunity think about it long and hard? No, I have nothing to say. I am Farina. All you need to do, dear spectator, is to witness my...
Fine.
So even Farina doesn't know the truth? You've never once let her in on the full plan?
Yes, it had to be done. To deceive the heavenly principles, you must first deceive yourself. She did very well. If she had let her resolve falter even once in these 5 centuries, Fontaine would have been doomed to... It seems that trusting humanity was the right decision after...
I believe that I understand how your deception works. But that is only... How would you build on this foundation to save the people of Fontaine?
Ah, good, good. Of course, the Iudex of Fontaine has pinpointed the crux of... I'm sure you've long sensed that the Oratrice is no simple machine, yes?
I've always suspected that it had its own consciousness. And Lenny did mention that he heard a human voice within the core It now seems that that person was you, hidden within the machine all along.
And then I became one with the Oratrice, taking Fontaine's gnosis with me. Yes, it would... Alas, your understanding of this device still lacks sufficient... In truth, it is no enactor of justice. Oh, you have it. And to be more precise, not only... I mean, my work, but really, the vast majority has been, had to be, accumulated.
It was all a part of your plan then? Both the trial and the sentence?
Indeed. This power, accrued over 5 centuries, could have sustained but only...
So the Oratrice's call for death was... the destruction of that divine throne. If I do...
Returning what's rightfully yours to you. In other words, this was all done to return the authority of the Hydro Archon to...
But...
Oh, what? getting the authority of the ancient dragons shall soon be yours once more, O Hydro Dragon Sovereign. And this is the fate.
All you've done throughout the years is just so you can sacrifice yourself at the very end.
I've never quite seen it that way, you know. Hydro Dragon, don't cry. I must say, had it been within my rights, I would have loved to judge the heavenly principles themselves. Were they not guilty of essentially the same? Egeria stole the power of the primordial sea. And the heavenly principle. I, for my part, am the god of justice. And is it not, speaking of justice, I have always believed that justice lies. So, if the theft of the primordial sea's might was, then, leaving matters of procedural right and wrong aside, in other words, existence was Egeria's justice, defying the prophecy and ensuring that Fontaine's people shall live on. At this point, we, whether it be myself, Iudex Nervillet, the highest judge in our land.
So when I was invited to the court of Fontaine to serve as Iudex, I see now that that was you. At last, I now understand the true purpose behind this position. In the beginning, I was uninterested in human existence. But these 5 centuries of living alongside them have gradually brought about mutual understanding between us. And I have even You are a devious one, Focalor. Things being as they are, surely you know that I could never declare them to be guilty.
The hour of my execution is almost here. For the sinner, the curtain call has come. I know I may not sound it, but faced with death, I find myself a little afraid. Perhaps this is one thing both gods and humans have in common. Farewell, Nervillet. I hope you've enjoyed the part you played these 500 years.
Iudex Nervillet, hereby declare, people of Fontaine, your sins are forgiven.
What just happened?
Was that bright light some sort of misdirection? I have a feeling that something...
But since we're all still alive and haven't been dissolved, I assume whatever happened was good.
It's time to end this. We must mete out punishment to that.
Didn't you say just a moment ago that it can't be
I have gained the strength sufficient to deal with it. Through certain means, I now have the ability to separate the power. We should seize the opportunity to pursue our quarry. Traveler, now that the oratories can no longer function, I require an executor to help me mete out justice. The root of the calamities befalling Fontaine. Come with me, traveler. The hour of execution. Done my best to separate the power from my way. Considering the size of the beast, I cannot reach the power source. Unless we can find a way to attack it from within. I shall share a part of the ancient dragon's power with you. We shall look for an opening together. Gather! Feel its sorrow turning into hostility.
My apologies! Sakura Swirl!
The all-devouring narwhal cannot resist its instinct to devour. Continue to trigger its hostility, and a chance will present itself.
thingy over there. It looks really scary.
Stabilize! I have granted you my protection. Do not fear. Seize the moment and use my power to suppress its root from within.
Whirling snow!
Stabilize!
Let's light it up!
Solidify!
My apologies!
Thanks for helping with the cleanup. It should have been my job, but... oh well. It was just supposed to be a short private training session for me. I didn't think that my disciple and my master's pet would start brawling in the meantime. Well, actually, I had a feeling that it would happen at some point.
That power. Who?
Paimon has an idea. From what she said earlier, she must be Child's master. It's just that he gave us the impression that she was the less talkative person.
I simply did not have anything to say to the weak. But you, on the other hand, so you may speak to me as equals. I have to agree. It's a strange use of a planet's primordial water. That kind of power is wasted on it. It's not cooperative. It eats too much. And I have more important things to do with my time than pet sitting. All in all, it fails as a pet.
Miss Skirk? I think you might have missed the point.
The point being...
Well, being that this pet almost destroyed an entire nation. So what sort of person is your master? Well, Child's master's...
Oh, right. So you don't know him. Sorry, I assumed you did. His name is Sir Tologi.
Huh?
I am unfamiliar with that.
Huh. So Master isn't sufficiently famous. How should I describe him then? Have you heard of the name The Fowl?
The Fowl?
Still nothing? Well, how about the Visionary?
Ooh, that one we've heard! Rhine-Doctor's part of the Hexen Circle. She's Albedo's mom, right?
Oh, so you do know that name. To be honest, I also heard all of those names and titles from my master. But I suppose you understand now, yes? My master is likely a similar sort to Rhine-Daughter. They are both pursuing some form—
Wait! Didn't you also mention a visionary person? Paimon didn't quite—
Actually, never mind that. I believe it expedient to inform you that the all-devouring narwhal used up nearly all its strength fighting you. Such roiling hydro energies will prove difficult for the planet's deep sea. As such, the fontaine back on the surface has most likely— In other words, the prophecy that you've been fretting over should now be in—
What?
Not to worry. Focalor has already managed to
In the end, the people will all be dissolved into the waters, and only Furina will remain, weeping on her throne. Only then will the sins of the people of Fontaine be washed away.
All hands, initiate emergency rescue! Hurry! Hey, lend a hand!
water's receding!
It's a miracle!
Water's receding.
We didn't dissolve. The prophecy was wrong! The prophecy was wrong!
The prophecy was wrong.
Benny's Adventure Team,
The soil renewed. The Spina di Rosula attacks post-disaster rebuilding. I recently visited Poisson to meet with Miss Navia, spokesperson of the Spina di Rosula, and we spoke about Poisson's present and future. Old soil can still give birth to new bloom, Miss Navia. Skyship Winglet, boon or bane of the Fontaine. The various disputes that have arisen on account of people always call the first researcher. Wow! Paimon barely recognizes the people in the reports. Are those
What do you think? Pretty enthralling, huh? The value for these big scoops. Edwin's assistant, Jurier, created a true...
Paimon's curious too!
And that's exactly what...
Are you sure?
Oh, this time will be different. Come on! Let's head to Poisson first, and then make a trip...
Oh. Ow! Where did that come from? Benny's Adventure Team, assemble! Oh.
Gather!
Yeah. You can.
Solidify! Gather! Stabilize!
Where do you want to go next? If you'd like to see Liyue's tourism. But...
Oh, it's you?
Hey, we're just having a look around.
I'm here to update myself on how things are going here.
Let me introduce you. This is Mr. Garunt Snežević. He represented the Knave in sending us a large amount of... Our residents are hard at work as well.
Hello, Miss Charlotte. I'm a big fan of yours. I especially like that article you wrote last year about... But if you don't mind, could you not...
I get where you're coming from. I'll keep it as simple as possible.
That would be fine. Thanks.
Oh, you're back too. How are things?
We finished laying down the construction materials.
Huh? You're here too?
Well, her reputation's greatly risen after that whole duel business with Miss Farina. So she's here in Poisson to wait out the heat.
There's too much to consider in the reconstruction of Poisson. The Spina has need of more decision-makers. And...
Oh, wait, just a moment. Do you mind me asking a few questions? You know, about how you felt before the duel.
Forget it. I'm sure you can find a better theme than that, Miss...
I see you're the same as always.
Well, if we're talking about doing things for my sake, you might as well just take a few more photos of me. Or of the Traveler.
Of course I will. I'm not gonna let him off that easy. All right, then everyone who wants to be in the photo get...
How did it go? Was it a good...
Not bad. Your addition really helped the composition of the picture. All right, hang on a moment. Let me snap a few more shots. All right, that should do it. I'll be back here later anyway, so let's call it a day.
You're very quick.
Speed is of the essence when it comes to the news, and freshness... Also, not to brag, but I'm pretty good at building connections.
Wow, you really do have that
I'll hazard a guess that this is how you got that interview at the Fortress of Mer...
Whoa, you're well informed. Let me make a guess, too.
That's a very complete
In truth, all Monsieur Neuvillette asked me, I told him that it was best not to speak too soon.
You're right. I've got to treasure every moment I have with them. In which case, I'll...
Stay safe now. And tell me if you hear anything interesting.
Wow, guess we're here again, huh? There's a real nostalgic...
Looks like you've been missing it.
Duke! Did you come all the way to the entrance to...
Of course. I'm here to welcome you and our...
It's an honor to finally meet the much-rumored Duke!
No need to thank me. But that said, I shouldn't be the focus.
Of course, of course.
All right then, this way.
Hey, no need to be so nervous. Miss Charlotte.
It would seem that Miss Lorvine doesn't want her face to appear beside that of...
Sir, please don't say things like that.
But it looks like dear Mr. Jurier denied...
No, I just... This is my first time...
Now, I might not look it, but I actually did the boat that brought about a miracle. Still, if I might ask, where's that flying ship now?
Huh! Looks like Charlotte's trying to get her.
I have to apologize, but that ship is presently in the bowels of our factory.
Really? Well, then in that case...
You already know my answer, I'm afraid. Best you interview our head nurse instead. Or perhaps you—
Did you really have to use the word couple? Well, then, 2 solo photos will do.
Is my hair messed up? Please, someone help me have a look.
Things sure are getting pretty lively here. Oh, seems like everyone's here. Would any of you like to try this new—
Ah, Siegeween.
Hey, Miss Charlotte. Why don't you, take some pretty— sure. Come on, Miss Siegeween. Over this way. Let's find a bright—
sure. Do I have to smile? So, how have things been at the front?
Same old, as you can see. Fontaine's undergone some changes, but this place—
Other than that flying ship, I got a—
That's why I decided to let the interview go through. We should direct more public opinions toward the behind-the-scenes—
You're too kind, sir. I believe that you too should have—
I'll just— I see. Lots of things happened that day, huh? Anyway, regarding that Harbinger, I'm not sure you remember, but his 3 young—
He sure did win them over, huh?
I'll tell them that there's good news and—
Oh, actually—
What change can there be? The fortune as to what Miss Farina's departure will mean for the nation, and if our laws and governance will be transformed, we'll leave those to the folks in the over—
Hey, everyone. The photo shoot's done.
Good. In that case, let's call it a day here.
Thanks for your cooperation. Come on, Traveler, let's go. Till next time.
There'll be a next time?
Maybe. Who knows? I might write a story about the underwater factory next time. All right. Last stop, the docks. Navia mentioned that she stayed in touch with Linny and the others after work.
Traveler, Paimon. And Miss Charlotte, too.
Would you like a magic pocket?
What sort of gadget is—
It's a wondrous bag that can be used—
Trick a friend.
You could just make a friend like Fremine here. Isn't that right, Fremine?
Is this what you meant by...
To be honest, that sounds pretty sweet. Could I have your contact?
You sure are working hard to help Fremine socialize.
He was the one who proposed doing this. He even wants to assist in our—
Yes, I was planning to first introduce Pear as an assistant, and—
That said, would anyone want to see a diver escape underwater?
Oh, it'll work out. Every journey begins with a—
Lynette, could you come over? Miss Charlotte—
Got it.
My, that Charlotte is rather perceptive. She got rid of every— Father says that you did a great deal during the latest events.
That's all right. We were more than—
Oh, I guess you haven't heard. After Lady Farina left, Father and Monsieur Nervillet opened negotiations, during which he gave Fontaine's gnosis to her as a
diplomatic gift?
Yes, I was quite surprised at first myself. But when I thought it over, it could have been done as an apology for the— Furthermore, Father did also lend significant aid to Fontaine and Poisson.
That's true, but this is a gnosis we're talking about.
I would agree, but—
So there's some reason—
I suspect you'll have to ask him—
isn't he real busy? But back to the topic.
They say that he's returned to Snezhnaya.
That's true. When you think about it, we've had loads of run-ins.
So shocked by such a simple switching of sides?
father.
Well, well, what do you know? Come to the docks to see how my children are doing and meet the Traveler by chance. Please do not pay my accomplishments in Fontaine too much mind.
Are you going to take the Gnosis back to Snezhnaya?
That is our duty as harbingers, yes. Don't be too preoccupied with sides. The goal of the Fatui concerns not a single place or person, but the entire world. With such a grand goal in mind, it is inevitable that switching my masks is something I've always done. Well, that depends on many things. No one truly knows what the future holds. What good is honesty if you can? As for you, I very much look forward to our next collaboration. Good things cannot be achieved alone, and you've proved yourselves to be great partners. A vision? All right.
And that's a wrap for me. Huh?
Greetings, Miss Journalist.
Hello. If I'm not mistaken, there are diplomatic channels I'll need to report.
That is correct. So forgive me, but I will not be able to serve as a subject in your article. However, feel free to write as much as you'd like about our...
I will.
The sea breeze is quite pleasant.
Farewell, Father.
Oh, she has such an intimidating presence. I didn't even dare to take a picture. Thankfully, I've already wrapped up all my pre-scheduled interview.
Don't be too nervous. Why don't you take a magic pocket before you go? Here, Traveler, Paimon, you take one too.
To move things about?
That's right. I guess this must be life. All right, then.
Well, guess we sent Charlotte, huh? Shall we go see what Neverlette's doing? As long as he's not so busy that he doesn't have time to chat anyway. The entrance to the fortress! Ooh, he really is there! So, you really are here, Neverlette! Paimon didn't think you were going to have free time this hour of the day.
Really? Oh, I suppose you must have met Mr. Linney. In any case, you came at...
Aw, Paimon's glad that you... Alright, let's have it then. How was Fontaine
It is strange how words can all...
Whoa. So that's what happened? Fossilor destroyed the divine throne of the High, but Paimon still doesn't quite get what you did to save the...
For me, the authority of the ancient dragons refers to... Fontanians were incomplete humans born of Ejiri, but so long as those primordial energies remain with... In other words, when I gave my verdict,
Fossilor must have counted on you to make that decision as well. Your verdict, yeah, and in a manner of speaking...
It seems from your expressions that you still have more things you wish to ask. Ask away. I will tell you the truth as I know it. You will soon be heading to Natlan, I presume? I'm afraid that I have little talent as a travel guide, So all I can do is tell you what I know about that land. As far as I'm aware, Natlan can be said to be a nation of dragons.
A nation of dragons? You mean like you?
No, I suspect that I would not find myself welcome there. Unlike ancient dragons such as myself, the dragons of Natlan have undergone long years of development and evolution. Large numbers of them have entered a form of coexistence with humanity. Natlan is also the nation of war. War ravages those lands like an undying flame. There is one other piece of information I got incidentally from my negotiations with the Knave that I believe may be useful to you. The Harbinger known as the Captain has thrown his hat into the endless ring of war.
The Captain. Sounds like a real tough customer. Seriously, everywhere you look, there's a Fatui Harbinger doing their thing.
I suggest that you fully prepare yourself before going to Natlan. In the meantime, Fontaine's doors will always be open to you. Ask away. I will tell you the truth as I know it. I have investigated his case along many avenues, and but whether it be by sentiment or as for the judgment passed by the oratrice during the trial, whether it was due to that liability by association or...
Guess Fossilor had Fontanians in mind the whole time. Hang on a second. Paimon suddenly got it. Back when Fontanians hadn't yet become real humans, were the children they had...
Life has always flowed like water. Do you recall...
Yeah! Lynette said the fountain is where all the waters in Fontaine convert...
In truth, even those couples did not know that such prayers were no mere custom. Those Oceanids who were blessed within the spring water would later
Paimon sorta gets it now. Either way, seems like this ritual won't be of any...
Ask away. I will tell you the truth as I know it.
Hang on a sec. Paimon, when we spoke to Linny earlier, he mentioned that your attitude towards giving away the Gnosis had clearly changed. We guessed that there might be some reason for it that only...
No wonder the House of the Hearth is the Fatu. So regarding this specific issue, I was just getting ready to
what?
In truth, I exchanged some further words with that lady named Skirk after sending you two back to the surface. It went something like this.
Well, we're going to head topside to see what's going on. You hurry over soon as well, all right, Nerf?
What next?
The all-devouring narwhal isn't here, so I'm no longer getting any interference. I can finally catch the scent of your power, what it's made of. It is the authority of the planet's primordial dragons, but with something very similar to a god's curse mixed in. I'm sure I've encountered something like this before.
I do not know what you speak of.
Of course. You should have the remains of the third descender on your person, yes?
Remains? I've never heard of...
According to your parlance, I believe it may be called a gnosis.
Well, that much is true. After Fossilor's divinity faded, she handed her gnosis to me. But I fear I have never heard of it described in the manner that you just did.
I've been training with my master, the Foul, ever since I was young, and I have never returned to the surface since. It is only natural for those who are greater than humanity to possess a different sort of... Regardless, you should probably get rid of objects of misfortune to prevent any disasters from befalling. To live in itself is a blessing. But once a person dies...
What do you mean by that?
No need to fret. These are just my... personal thoughts.
This third descender you refer to, who are they?
Master never mentioned them to me. Perhaps it just... If you're interested, though, I could ask him. I'll be sure to...
Next time? You believe we will meet again?
I do. Wait. I have a disciple of my own, don't I? He can be the messenger.
That's what she told me. Whether it would prove useful or not, I wanted to pass that information on to you.
The remains of the third descent. So that's what the Gnosis actually are. Paimon just thought they looked like chess pieces. How could they be a person's remains?
All the same, assuming that there was no misunderstanding or special metaphor at play, that is what she meant to say.
And she said that it would bring misfortune and that you should check it, which is why you gave it to the Fatui.
If she speaks the truth, then I would simply be putting Fontaine at unnecessary risk. I had guessed that you might already be familiar with this concept, but I did not expect you to be one of them. That means that the Gnosis, which are exceedingly element-compatible and can even enhance elemental... I wonder, does your body also possess similar properties?
Like being able to use elemental powers without a vision. That does sort of count as special... No, let's not think about this stuff right now. Comparing the Traveler to the dead third descender and all. That's what you say, but this topic still feels like bad luck. Once Child recovers, let's get some more answers out of him. Or go look for...
I too believe it unwise to make too many blind guesses when information is lacking.
Alright. Whatever the case, it seems like the...
Yes. All the Focalor...
But she sacrificed herself in the end as a god, and she suffered through all those years as a human.
I suppose that would be the mystery of a god's will. I suspect not. But once in a while, I too would guess that if wishes were like the clouds in the sky, life flows like water. And what, ultimately, is the...
Osmanthus wa... Osmanthus wa... Mine tastes the same as I remember. But where are the... Those who share the memory.